Alright, what's up, y'all? My name's Tim Ream. I'm on day 29 of 75 hard. This is going to be the 45-minute AM workout. I'm going to do chest today. I usually do chest every 4 days. I'm actually going to do it on the third day. My split has got all messed up, and I just think it's better just to start the rotation again, just so I can get back on track. I'm going to start with abs. I'm prioritizing the core and some of those workouts. I'm going to put them at the beginning of the workout. Spring cut is going really, really good. I'm super happy with it. I can see my abs coming in every single day. And as somebody that has never had abs, like, it's pretty exciting. That being said, I'm not all the way there just yet, but I can tell it's just a matter of time, and my calories are all on point, and by the end of the 75 days, like, I'm going to be looking good, feeling good, ready for summer, and just all of that stuff too. I'm also going to start out with abs and just kind of walk people through some of the maintenance range of calories, how to find it, some of the techniques that I used, and maybe some of the foods that I think are helpful at certain times and whatnot. But anyway, so I've got everything set up. Let's get into it, man.
Why I would use my most valuable asset is my time. That's what you said earlier. You're right. It is your most valuable asset. Now, when you use it for your family, that's very valuable. But when you waste it, that is a crime, because you'll never get it back.
So with abs, I'm just going to do rest pause. I still try to do like maybe just one set to failure, kind of just shock and awe. So I'll do as many as I can, wait for 10 seconds or a few seconds, and then go right back into another set until I hit failure on that. And then I'll just do that like 4 or 5 times. So let's get into it here.
I looked at myself 10 years ago, and I'm thinking 10 years ago you would look at this and not want to get ripped off.
I think that's a very good instinct. I don't think you should ever give up on that. People ask me all the time, you just bought that watch for $250,000. Why would you spend $250,000 on that watch? And I argue, and I have the empirical data to show it, that is probably a better investment than putting it in the S&P 500, because that piece is a piece unique, and in 10 years will be worth materially more. And I'm making that calculated risk as an alternative asset. I actually have on my balance sheet in my portfolio mark-to-market value on every single watch, because I don't want to get ripped off. I mark-to-market every 24 hours the value of every piece, and I know that's something I've learned. I can look at things that I study, like watches, and know when it's a bad purchase, and I won't do it. So it's sort of keeping that in your DNA is a good thing. I don't know why it's a bad thing. Spending a lot doesn't mean that it's a bad investment.
I think it's the value of your time versus the amount that you spend. Like even last night, the first thing I do when I look at a restaurant menu is the price, and then what it is second. And I'd rather get the item that's $18 and a better deal than the other one that I kind of want a little more if it's $25. But I feel like that's a bit overpriced for the fajita. Like I'd rather the mahi.
I'm 100% the same way.
Right.
Because I mean, you should spend good food for your body.
Man, so I did. Been talking about how you can lose weight,
so it's
all the way to the month, to the week, to the day, and how many calories over how many days, and that it's just a mathematical certainty. And so I've dropped calories more now. I'm only eating 1 time a day.
Why do you like making money?
And I've dropped to about 1,200 or 1,300 calories right around in that area. And I feel like if I eat through the day, then I'm hungry by the end of the night, and I'm really fighting wanting to have a cheat meal. But if I cut out those meals in the beginning of the day, don't eat, and just run on an empty tank, dude, like I feel like I've actually got more energy. It's crazy. And I just eat 1 big meal at night, had about 1,200 calories, and then that's it, dude, for the day. And I can see my weight going down. And one thing with the 75 hard program is, like, you don't want to change your diet.
Why would you do that?
you want to stick with the same diet, but I'm not waiting another 50 days if I know something's not working. I'm bumping down calories again. Because once I did the math on it, it was like I wasn't actually going to hit my target. So I want to get down into in between like 155 or 160, which is like super small still, but I'm not waiting 50 days to fucking, if I know something's not working, I bump down calories to make sure I hit that window. And to be honest, I feel better at work too, so I'm not sitting there hungry all the time. It's like, yeah, so.
In their head that moment before they were talking, I am here for a reason. I've earned my way here. I'm really good at what I do. I'm going to deliver my message, and nobody is going to trip me. That's the mentality you have to have. You're going to get fried in there, even though you practiced, 50 times in front of a mirror. It's not the same when the cameras are rolling. You've got all the sharks there and the dynamic that's going on. You have to be confident, and it's really in the eyes, I think. That's because I'm right almost 99% of the time. That's a loser. Doesn't even say anything yet. Sure enough, they're losers. Because they just don't have what it takes to drive. There are winners and losers.
Yeah.
That's not my fault. It's just the way it is.
And what about trusting your gut? Has that ever steered you the wrong way? Because you're very much lead by intuition and kind of have a feeling if this is going to work out or not.
You don't have gut till you failed a lot. The intuition or the gut feeling is experience. That's what it is. And so I always tell this famous story about my last year of business school. This guy came in the class, and always in these MBA courses, they start bringing in guest lecturers. And he was in the cohort, but we were graduating a week later.
And my ab workouts don't seem very,
passed away. It's really
I don't know, very intense or anything. And I don't do a lot of them, I just do the declines. But the thing is, like, all I'm doing is building some basic muscle structure with the declines. And really, I don't care how many ab setups or like sit-ups or ab workouts you do. If you've got 50 pounds of fat over the abs, you're not going to see them. So you're going to have to bring that dietary aspect in just to be able to see the abs. So basically, I'm really working on getting my diet honed in so you can actually see the muscles underneath it. So you can do abs as much as you want, but unless that aspect is there, it just ain't happening. And one other thing that I did want to bring up about the caloric deficit, they say if you go under 1,500 calories, it's in between 12 to 1,500 calories, then it's impossible to get a well-balanced diet with all of the complete macros and micronutrients that you need, vitamins and minerals, for a complete balanced diet. So I'm not going to go under 1,200, but you can get into the whole aspect of like now you're starting to eat muscle for energy rather than fat, and that's something I definitely want to stay away from if I can help it. So one way to tell is if you are weighing yourself rather frequently, then a pound of muscle is 600 calories, and then a pound of fat is 3,600 calories. And if you start dropping weight like way fast, then you might actually start eating muscle. If you're dropping like pounds very fast, then you're probably burning up a lot of muscle rather than fat, because you're just going to go through, basically 1 pound of muscle or 6 pounds of muscle compared to 1 pound of fat. So that's one way to tell if you're in, I think it's called catabolism, muscle catabolism. And Mike Minter brought this point up a long time ago, and he was talking about how they say after I want to say 48 hours or 4 days, they say your muscles start to catastrophize or catabolize. And he said, well, have you ever taken a week off and then came back into the gym and realized that you were actually stronger on that lift? Well, if you come back stronger, then how did your body start catabolizing the muscle within 24 hours? He said, no way, it just doesn't happen. And I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of true, because if you got stronger because you gave it more rest, then how could you have decreased muscle mass through catabolization? I don't know if I'm saying that word right, but it's basically where your body starts eating muscle. And so, I don't know, those are a couple different ways to tell if you're in, not catabolism, in that muscle eating phase, or what your body's feeding on, fat or muscle.
It was devastating because your intentions were good when it came to it. Like, you wanted to invest your money, you wanted to beat inflation. At the time, a lot of things were doing well, and it's simply a matter of just not getting the proper education to lock in profits and properly diversify.
Since then, I've made a lot of money investing. I'm investing for the long term in the right stocks, and same goes for Graham.
And one of the places that I actually turn to for information happens to be sponsoring this episode, which is crazy, and that would be Yahoo Finance. Yahoo Finance allows you to read comprehensive financial news, analysis, or just learn more about investing in general. It's also the website that I personally visit every single day. I get some video ideas from them. It's just a great resource to go and learn about investing, see what's going on, and the best part about it, it's completely free.
If you guys want to learn more about investing and make sure that you're making the right decisions, unlike me, check out Yahoo Finance. There's a link down below in the description. Thank you so much, Yahoo Finance, for sponsoring this episode and back to the podcast. What time were you most surprised by the pitch where you thought, okay, this is, you're going to lose your house, but then it ended up...
And then about finding your maintenance range of calories, there's two different ways that I've heard of doing it. And one of them is basically get you a calorie counting book and then log what you eat for 5 days. The beginning of day one, take your weight, right? And then log every single thing that you eat, all the way down to, like, you know, your sauces and even the little bitty snacks and all that stuff you eat. Log them with the calorie counting book, and then basically do that for 5 days. Find out what your total range of calories is, weigh yourself on the 5th day, and then divide all of those total calories by 5, and then you'll find your average intake. And if you went up in weight, then you know that you're above maintenance range. But if you dropped weight, then you know you're below maintenance range. So you can start to get a zero in on what your actual range is. So that's one. And then another one is just, there's a different formula for a woman, which I didn't pay much attention to that one. Maybe I should have. Actually, maybe I might have it, but don't quote me on it. But basically, for a guy, you would basically take your body weight times 15 calories. And that would be your maintenance range or close to it. Then you would just basically monitor your weight, you know, over maybe like 4 or 5 days and see if you're gaining. And you basically, it's just giving you a baseline to start with, and it gets you into the game. And if you're still gaining weight, you're going to need to drop some. And if you're losing weight, if that's your goal, then keep it the same or whatever. But that'll at least get you in the game of finding what your actual maintenance range is. And I'd like to say one other thing too about like, you gotta think, if you're 230 pounds and you're wanting to get down to 185 pounds, they say eat a gram of protein for every pound of body weight that you are. Well, here's the thing, you don't want to feed the 230 pound man. If you're trying to get down to 180, if you're trying to get down to 180 pounds, then you only want to do the 180 grams of protein. Like, you want to feed the man that you want to be and let all the other part of you just starve away, right? So you actually want to feed your target body weight rather than what you are now, which I think is a really, really good point.
And let all the other
Gonna get into kind of the macros side and how to structure it,
rather than
especially in kind of a cutting phase.
a really, really good point. Gonna get into kind of the macros side and how to structure it, especially in kind of a cutting phase.
So their average growth rate was only 17% versus men in our portfolio 30%. But they only hit their target 65% of the time, and women hit them 95% of the time. And I thought, why does that even matter in manifesting itself for a better cash outcome? And the answer is, nobody wanted to quit the New England Patriots when Brady was the quarterback, because they had a chance of getting a ring. Quarterback that just delivered, championship year after year. The Super Bowl, they win Super Bowls. So women entrepreneurs that set goals that everybody achieves, the culture is very sticky, and there's no attrition. Nobody quits. In small business, when you lose the head of sales, the head of accounting, the head of logistics.
Okay, so basically we've established that whenever you're going into a cutting phase, you obviously want to minimize losing muscle, right? And your body using energy from your muscle stores rather than your fat stores. All right. So basically, this formula I came across is basically 0.8 to 1 gram of proteins. Then you want to have max 50 grams of fats, and then the rest your carbs, okay? And the thing is, like, the higher your protein, then the more satiated that you're gonna be. With satiation is basically you're gonna be able to, you know, stave off your appetite, and you're not gonna find yourself as hungry too. And so, like, as if your main fuel source was from carbs. Carbs are gonna spike your insulin. Blood goes up, you feel good for a minute, then you come down really hard and you crash. Like, if I eat carbs through the day, like, I notice I'm sluggish, and then I'm tired, and then, but also I want to eat more often too, because it's just spiking your sugar all the time. And so it's better to have a higher protein diet, because it's gonna keep you more, I don't know, your insulin more stable. But anyways, one thing that I didn't realize for a long time, and it was basically, you want your proteins and your fats are typically always going to stay the same. Maybe if you're in a bulking phase or just your regular phase of diet, your fats can be a little bit higher, but your protein's usually going to be at least a gram and a half of protein. And it can be anywhere from 0.8 to maybe a gram and a half. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is typically the only thing you're going to reduce in your cutting phase is going to be cutting out the carbs, because your carbs are just an energy source. Like, you need the protein and you need the fats. Especially the fats for like healthy hormones and vitamins and minerals. And fats have those, whereas carbohydrates really don't have vitamins and minerals. So really it's actually a more nutrient dense food, fats is. And so basically, yeah, you're gonna keep your proteins the same, your fats pretty much the same, and you're just gonna be using the scale, a sliding scale on carbs, whether you want to bulk up some more or if you want to cut weight. It's always going to be mainly the carbs, and you can throw some more protein in the mix at different times, more fats, but as a general rule, it's always going to be the carbs that you're going to just reduce, just to get those empty calories out of there. Yeah, you'll be a little bit more tired sometimes. Yeah, your strength is probably going to decrease in the gym a little bit. But it's just, it is what it is, bro. Like, you're at a calorie deficit, so you're just not going to be as strong as you normally would. All right, so we're going to get right into the chest exercise. I'm going to start out with like a standing incline fly. I find it hits the top shelf of that chest very good. It's a very targeted workout. You know, I started doing it instead of just a regular barbell, press, incline press. And, I just think it's a better exercise if you're wanting to target your upper chest specifically. Do a couple warm-up sets, and then go to a 1 set to failure here.
I didn't appreciate it back then, but that guy's crazy healthy. Like, you don't know shit. That's just not part of their culture. So the same with the Italians. If you see, go to Europe and see, it's so much about what you put in your body that you do. Now, look, if you want to take drugs, you want to smoke, you want to do all that crap, well, you're going to look like shit. That's what's going to happen. So if you want to age out gracefully, think about what you put in your body and how you treat yourself. And another thing, which, sleep. Get some sleep. I wear an Oura ring. I try for 7 hours and 11 minutes of sleep. And I learn one thing, and it'll say right now.
Without workout, right there, if you can get back on your back leg and really bend your back, spread those shoulders back a lot, you're going to find it concentrated. That way it's just pulling right back and stretching on the top of your chest. And I'm going to try from now on, I'm going to try to stay in about the 8 rep range. That's going to be kind of more of towards a heavy bulking type of movement, but also you're getting into the hypertrophy range too. So I'm going to try to stay right in that maybe 8 to 10 range, I think. If I go any more than that, then, I might drop into the 7. As I bump up weight, I might fall back into like 7 reps. But if I can stay, pretty much in between 7 to 10 reps, I'm going to be kind of happy with that.
Is that a process of religion or gross?
And it's kind of weird because now that I've dropped more calories, I actually feel like I've got more energy. And if I'm eating carbs through the day, like I said, I've got these spikes and ups and downs. And really, if you've got the ups and downs chemically, then they're gonna trigger your brain in little like different ways too. Like if you come up really high, you're gonna be feeling really good, and whenever you crash, you're like, ugh. So really, it's almost like there's almost like a mental clarity that comes with it as well too, because I don't think most people realize how much of a connection there actually is in between our actual body and our mental health. And having the right endorphins and serotonin flowing are what's going to keep the brain in a healthy mental state too. But all I'm trying to get at is I feel really good actually. Like I feel light on my feet. Like I just feel crisp and clear, and I feel alert right now, dude. I feel fucking great, really. Actually, I forgot I was going to do 2 warm-ups with the same weight and then go a heavier weight.
Sourdough bread with no sugar. I don't want any sugar. I don't want any cane sugar. A lot of problems with cane sugar. It's too much. And so you see that the adoption of that kind of practice gets you in a much healthier place and reduces weight. But when you're in a restaurant, you're eating a loaf of bread or you're eating it before your meal comes, you're eating just cane sugar. It's garbage.
If you had to pick a number, how much would you pay to go back 20 years?
Oh, that's a great question. I would like to do that because I would have treated myself so much differently if I could have done that. The way that my lifestyle,
Man.
the peak of being an operator, I was killing myself. I was just killing myself. I was working 21 hours a day, flying all over the world, not eating. I weighed almost 40 pounds heavier. I wasn't sleeping at all. I think to myself now, why was I doing that to myself? What did that cost me? Like, it can't have been free.
That exercise, if you can kind of drop weight and figure out the right range of motion, to where it's just totally specifically like especially whenever you like open up with a fly, like you got all your weight going backwards on that back foot, but your chest is in between. If you can actually find where you're at the maximum stretch, and then find that place where you can actually contract on that upper shelf, like that workout right there, dude, that thing hits specific. Like I can feel the squeeze there, and I can feel the tension all the way down to that squeeze, and it's just really a good isolated upper chest movement. I did 2 warm-up sets. I'm going to do 1 all-out set to failure here on this last one. Then I'm going to move over here to the machine press. But what I'm saying is this last set right here is going to be the all-out, just fucking gun to the baby's head type of set here. Give it like 2 more seconds, I'll hop into it.
How much would you pay though to go back 20 years? Now let's just say
I can tell my strength has decreased, but not too much. I was at about 1,800 calories. Now I'm down to about 1,200. So that little 600 calories right there, I mean, technically that's probably what it would take to above maintenance range for you to start seeing strength increases again. So if that's, I mean, it's kind of a significant deficit. So we'll see what happens with the strength wise here.
I want everything. I work hard for this stuff, so I've got it. Yeah. I don't want to lose any houses or anything like that. I want all of it. I want everything. It's all coming back with me. But if I could get back the years, yeah, that would be. Of course, that's priceless. If anybody ever develops that technology, he'll be the most successful entrepreneur ever.
I'm curious for people that do self-sabotaging behavior, like smoking and drinking and eating bad food and stuff like that. Do you think that they're just kind of born into that, and they just, for some reason, have like a biological predisposition to actually think about things critically and how things may impact them in the future? Or do you think that's because they're accustomed to eating really poor foods, which then affects their brain into self-sabotaging?
I think the first thing is because they were on a very high glucose diet, a high sugar diet, a high. Because if you think about people in Europe, you look at France or Italy or Middle East, they don't have that propensity to overeat because they were never, even alcoholism, that's like France where they introduced wine into children's diets at the age of 11. Many Europeans don't even drink at night. They drink during their main meal at lunch because they like to sleep better. Not because they know, they just don't. If you look at the European style,
It's actually really cold. Not really cold, but cold enough to where you almost want to wear a shirt out here
I think it's the way
this morning. But I'm so happy with how the cutting's going. And having the film going on all these consecutive days, I can really be like, damn, I'm seeing progress from one workout to the next on the film. Whereas if I wasn't doing this, then looking in the mirror, sometimes you can't really see it, dude. Like you can see the visible abs, but I can't see my back. But whenever I'm doing my back workouts, I'm like, damn, my back is getting way more ripped. So it's kind of cool. So I was gonna wear a shirt today, but I'm like, nah, dude. Like I feel really good. I feel like my abs are coming in real good. Like I want to see how much progress I made just from the last time. It's fucking crazy. Go over here to the machine, incline, press. This is not like the arms are isolated, so it's gonna be almost like dumbbell too, kind of, but I like keeping it like that so I can keep the strength increases balanced from one side to the next, whereas with the barbell and two hands, like you don't know if you're pushing more with your right or more with your left, but this, having the isolated machines and dumbbells and cables helps you keep that symmetry and just a more balanced strength across both sides of your body. So I like this machine because it's got that actual factor there. And whenever I'm laying down on the bench, like I'm walking my, kind of my shoulder blades and my shoulders underneath like this. Like I'm getting down and making sure that my chest is really postured there so it can take the main brunt of all that weight coming down. Whereas if I have my shoulders out, then they're probably going to be taking more of that weight. And it's just those little bitty, type of adjustments that's actually going to allow you to get the most out of that, exercise that you're actually doing. And these are like little nuances that I never got. Like I didn't know of years ago, or I'd have made just that much more progress. All right.
And the more you peel the onion, you start to realize this person has no execution skills. I'm the only guy that tells you the truth. I'll say, look, I don't think you can pull this off. I don't think you're good enough. And I don't think you've made enough mistakes to realize that yet. And I don't think you've learned enough lessons. I'm not interested in investing in you.
I heard there's a therapist on set for people that have breakdowns after they're told no. Is that true?
It is true.
How often does that get utilized? Every time you make sure there's
every year, whether it's successful.
And I've heard like, well, if you're doing bench and you got your elbows in and you're comfortable with that, do that. Well, if you got your elbows, you want to do it wide and you feel better doing it like that, do it like that. Well, I think that's all right if you're looking to push weight. And but if you're actually looking for the maximum muscle stimulation, if you got to play around with that movement. I used to do a closer grip, but it was more tricep intensive. But if you actually flare your elbows out and keep a closer grip, then it is more of a maximal stretch on that actual pec itself. So, I mean, yeah, if you're looking just to push a bunch of weight and be comfortable doing it, yeah, do it however you want. But, if you're actually looking for that max muscle stimulation, then there is a correct posture for that. And for me, it is, the elbows out with a closer grip. Because it's just, you can even see it. Like in film, you can just see that entire activation of that pec. Whereas like this, it's like, there's not as much stretch and it's just all tricep, dude. But I do 2 warm-up sets with this and then do a heavy 1 set to failure max here.
You gotta remember, and I say this to so many people, usually around evaluation issues. They come in the shop, they have a great idea. They delivered a fantastic presentation, great execution skills, and we want to improve. And the valuation is ridiculous. It's just stupid. $100 billion and have no sales. Something ridiculous. And I say to them, something, think about the moment we're in. Just let's focus on this moment, just this moment. If I do your deal, and you become part of the Shark Tank family, and you start this journey with 100 million eyeballs of syndication for years to come, and all of the aura of the Shark Tank, the relationship with retailers, with international sales, manufacturing, all of that could change your life. Forever. If I don't invest in your deal, I'm going to forget who you are in 30 seconds. You're not going to change my life. My life's already been changed. I'm done. Your deal is not going to change my life. No matter how successful it is, it's not going to change my life. And that's our dilemma. Here I am. I can change your life, but you can't really change mine. And you're quibbling over valuation? Why don't you think about that for another 30 seconds? And if you're so dumb that you don't get what I'm telling you, I don't want to invest in you because you're too stupid. I don't know, I'm just getting a flurry. So much all this.
Man, he's an important man.
Oh gosh.
No, this
The spam is awful.
Sam is like,
I do the same thing. I have two numbers. A Vegas line is my personal line, and then I have another one. The other one
it's
is
a TikTok phone.
What's that mean?
It's a burner.
You have a phone for TikTok?
Yeah, we advertise like TikTok's a Chinese spy, but we all know that. So
Wait, really? So you have your own phone for TikTok?
yeah, there's nothing on here that's real.
Just TikTok.
I have other apps I don't care about, but the real stuff is on my other phone.
All right, last time I did
personal contacts.
230 for 12. I'm gonna do 250 on this time and see how many I can get with it.
China sees this phone, and he thinks I live in the Antarctic somewhere. So it's TikTok is spyware. There's no question about it. And that thing is going to go and get sold. I'm going to buy it anyway.
So I'm curious. Pivoting really quick on the TikTok topic. I have the attitude and the belief that if they have my data, there's really nothing there that I'm concerned about. So I kind of think my data's already out there. Whatever I'm doing is already there. What can they do with it? If they want to track me across websites, if I'm served different ads, kind of. I mean, as long as they're not like, taking money from my bank account, then I kind of think, what's the
Look, you're about 30% of the population. Other people have a different opinion. Now, India was the first to turn it off just
So I'll have
5 years ago. 207 million users just turned it
All
off.
right.
48 hours later, nobody cared. Same thing could happen here in January. Governments, our governments made the The US government said this is spyware, it's illegal. The perverse situation that the company's management is in right now is suing the people of the United States through the Congress. I feel sorry for that guy's resume down the road.
How much of do you think this is purely the United States doesn't want to compete with China? And they feel like China's maybe too much of a threat to the United States infrastructure. And maybe that's the reason why. Because I've seen people make the argument that Facebook is doing the exact same thing. But we don't quite regulate Facebook to the same degree. And I know national security, I kind of understand that. But
I read it differently. I mean, I don't agree with the premise. I think what the United States wants, and certainly I want, is a level playing field. I'm happy to compete with China if I have the same level playing field on policy that they have. For example, I can't sue them when they steal my IP. I can't, if my business is being threatened to shut down by Chinese, which don't even allow
All
it
right.
in the first place. You can't do it.
Move over here to dips.
Controlled by the government.
It's kind of a compound movement. You got the shoulders into play, the triceps, the forearms, even some of the back, a lot of the chest too, but you can drop weight, drop the seat to the right depth, figure out where the machine needs to actually be at as far as settings go, and figure out where it's the most intensive on the pec itself. Then I find it is like an excellent chest workout. And if you notice, I've done more incline, and now I'm gonna start working my way down to the bottom of the chest. Just try to exhaust that entire muscle group, keep the blood flowing from the top all the way down to the bottom, and just exhaust the entire thing till failure. So I'm starting to do more of the lower movements now. We'll do one set just to get warmed up, and then we'll do one set to failure.
Later, you can't sue us. I think that company will be shut down if it's sold. I actually think they're going to shut it down in Canada too. I think they're going to shut it down in Europe. They're going to shut it down everywhere.
what do you think the role of the government should be?
To provide a regulatory environment, I think we saw this happen with crypto, which is a good recent example. A level playing field where all competitors can compete. Now, people have different versions of what they want from government, particularly around healthcare and other sectors, but when it comes to the largest, it's 11 sectors in the economy, many of them are regulated. My preference is to simply set the rules so you can play the football game. That's it. What I want is policy that's pro-business, pro-job creation, and then let people compete, because that's what created the American economy over 200 years ago, was this idea of capitalism and competition. I think we've swung too far the other direction, and it's too much of a nanny state. And I'm not pro-Trump, or against Trump, or it's not even, forget partisanship, I don't care. I don't care who likes a politician. What I like is good policy. I've never made money in politics. I've made money understanding where policy will go. If I understand policy, I can make sectoral bets, and I can be successful really reading policy. Like I read the Chips and Science Act, I read the IRA, I actually read what the government's doing to understand who will benefit from that, and then go invest in those sectors. It's public information. And I spend a lot of time on the Capitol Hill. I mean, I spend at least a week, a month now in Washington because I care so much about policy. It gives me a competitive advantage to understand policy. And I'm very fortunate. I have something called the Shark Tank Passport.
Right now my cut, to like get all the way down to where I'm like really lean, visible abs, all that stuff, vascularity. So obviously at the sacrifice of a little bit of strength and a caloric deficit. And so I am looking forward to getting back in to the point where I'm at a little bit of a surplus in calories. So I can start, pushing my maxes and all that stuff again. But the thing is, like, they've always talked about, you always see, like, bodybuilders get super big during the off season and then have to cut way down to get to that really lean stage. Like, I never got why they had to get that big, right? I feel like there's a point where you're just stacking on fat, and no amount of excess nutrients is actually gonna. You've already basically supplied what the body needs to stimulate the growth and strength increases, and anything above that is kind of just calories that you're putting on that you're gonna have to diet more intensely just to bring off whenever you start to get into the on season or whatever. So I'm going to keep that fine line where I'm going to have visible abs all year round, but, it might be in the range of, 10 to 15%, 10 whenever I'm cutting, and then maybe 15% whenever I'm bulking. But really, whenever I start to lose visible abs, I know I've went too far. I don't even want to go that far, but I don't think people realize how much of an impact some of the food and nutrition and water have, because whenever you're overweight, you can't see those very simple and subtle changes that each different type of food makes to your body. But whenever you're really lean, like, you can see how different foods affect you. Damn, drinking water at this time, I can actually see that my abs are more blurry. Like, and you start to get a mastery over which foods are actually affecting your body in what ways, and you start to get an even more fine-tuned perspective and a fine-tuned way of running your body at a maximum type of way, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that you wouldn't see it if you were obese. And people have so many different things in their diet, like all the different, you probably might eat 30 different foods for the week, but I've whittled it down to oats, chicken, rice, vegetables, and I got some eggs and milk in there, and water. Like, whenever you bring it down to just very simple things, like, you can actually start getting a real good beat on what and how your body is really working. And I had honey in there, and I had a couple other things, but I've ended up getting them out because I feel like my body doesn't function as good. And whenever you can bring it down to just a few different things and test a few foods at a time. Okay, take this one out for a week, see what that does. Like, I've had rashes, and I'll take one food out, and then another, but gradually, and then actually find the food that's actually causing the rash. Like, you can actually get down to, like, symptoms and start to hone in on your biology and what's causing certain things. And it's just, I find it's better to be leaner and with less foods in your diet because then there's not as many guessing games, and it's easier to pinpoint what in the hell is causing this thing. All right, we'll go over this last set to failure here.
No clothes in it, and it's like the Terminator. You're just there. I don't think there's any country better than the United States of America that puts up in space for you make it. Because if you have the skills, you have the desire, you have the interest, and you have the ability to execute, within years you'll be wealthy.
Why do you think common sense is not taught in school? Of just budgeting, finance, just being a good person, knowing how to take care of yourself. It doesn't seem like any of these topics are taught. And that was one of my issues in school, was that every topic that I learned, I had a really difficult time paying attention to, because I thought to myself, this is never going to apply. I'm never going to be, a physicist. If I'm interested in business, there's nothing in my school that piques my interest.
That's a good question. However, it is changing. Financial literacy is the weakest portion of our going back to being poor. The number one is taking on debt when you're in your
Oh shit!
Our system wants to give you a credit card when you're 18.
I did go past my max in one rep.
21% interest.
From 22 this last time
People about that is
to 23 this time.
the great news is it's
Might not see strength.
Florida started introducing
Strength increases on every single workout,
financial literacy.
or at least exercise within that workout,
New York, California.
like the flies and the bench.
Fix that problem.
But I did get another one on the dip, so
Who you are and finding
still
out
progress,
same with
even at a caloric deficit.
something that really turns your crank right up in the morning.
Yeah, pat on the back.
Some people pursue
Oh shit.
philanthropic work, working with charities. That's fine too.
I found if you can, like, say I did 23 reps last week, then whenever I start out, I go 23, 22, and I count backwards. Because then once it gets down to like 2 or 3 and you want to give up, you're only like, I only got 2 more to go. It's honestly like, if you count backwards, rather than starting from 1, 2, 3. Once you get to 15, you're like, fuck, I got 8 to go still. And you just talk yourself out of going harder, but starting at the end with the target number, working your way back. I feel like it's just a mental thing that I do that I find easier. All right, we're gonna go to
What about social programs?
an incline, basically an incline fly, but it's on bench.
To that degree. Or maybe fall on really hard.
Maybe you should start doing that in between this and the cable fly. Maybe. I probably should, just because it's more of an upper chest movement. Actually, didn't really even think about that till just now.
Education is the key. Bring people to individual sectors. That's what the government should do with my taxpayer dollars.
What do you think the tax rate should be? Imagine you're president, you can decide what the tax rate is. Is it progressive? Is it regressive? Is it flat?
Yeah, it's flat, 29% for everybody.
29.5.
Yeah.
How do you come to that number?
There's 2 things I would do if I were president. One is I'd go to the flat tax for everybody, including corporations, 29.5. I don't think you have companies contorting and leaving at 29.5. Some people feel it's 22, but it's somewhere between 22 and 29.5. You don't want to put a 3 handle on it, so it's too high. But the other thing I would do is take the lesson from Norway back in the mid-70s. They had vast resources of fossil fuels, as we do here. They simply put a royalty on it with one covenant. It could not be used for any other purpose except building a trust fund. Could not be used for anything else. Could not be used for social programs. Could not be used by government to spend it. Alberta and Canada did the same thing. Norway did theirs with a covenant that could only be used to pay down national debt or build a trust fund. Today, Norway is the richest country. Canada, unfortunately, is the in terms of natural resources per capita, but it's run by idiots. So huge difference. For examples, they have $1 trillion+ sitting in their trust fund, and they use it to develop their country and educate their people. In the U.S., what we should do is open up every source of gas and oil, including the Anwar, and put a 7% royalty on it with only one mandate. It has to pay off national debt. That's all you can do with it.
Do you think that would even make a difference, though? I worry you do.
Oh my goodness. The idea that we're going to transition out of fossil fuels anytime soon, I find laughable. There's no transition, there's just diversification. we'll be using fossil fuel for another 100, 200 years.
This is something we're talking to Peter Schiff about in terms of the national debt and then propping up the stock market and the housing market. Do you think that's the case? And do you think that we could essentially just in perpetuity continue printing money?
No.
How long could that continue?
No, we can't, but we also have a solution. We have to continue growth with a moderate tax rate, so GDP growth of 3%. That's how you pay down your national debt. But also do what Norway did. Say, okay, we're going to do this mandate on fossil fuels. We're going to provide the world with fossil fuels, and we're going to just pay down our debt with it. That's it. We can take a big chunk of it, 20% away from the
Most of the tax is paid by the ultra wealthy, and I'm sure that comes to a surprise to a lot of people. They're under the impression that like they hear, oh, Amazon only paid like a effective 2% tax rate, or Elon Musk paid 8%, but he's got billions of dollars. How do you square that?
It's not factual. Wealthy people pay billions of dollars in taxes as well. They also provide a massive amount of philanthropic donations because they're incented to do that on a tax basis. They pay it in capital gains mostly, not in income. That's the big difference. So they may go years paying no taxes, and when Elon Musk takes out $45 billion to buy Twitter, he paid a ton of tax on that because he turned it into cash and he finally paid his tax. And so that probably was the highest taxpayer in the country that year. But it's big bursts of tax they're paying, but they still pay a ton of tax.
If you could partner with one entrepreneur for a venture, who would it be?
If you missed a wonderful, I love it. No question. That guy really understands deals.
He's got it.
Yeah. I always say, which shark do you want to partner with? I partner with the guy I love, he's Mr. Wonderful. He's the best. That's it.
What do you think of the $20 California minimum wage?
Huge policy mistake. You're going to see a lot of restaurateurs shut down. You can't minimum your wage into success. All you do is push out business because they can't.
That would happen right in the middle of my rep range. Dance of the Nights.
Certain restaurants,
Badass classical music.
certain restaurants have pay others didn't, which is such.
I don't even know what I got on that.
California is actually the
You got like
worst
9.
state in the union. I would never invest there. It's a loser state, and it's been that way for a while. And you can see the collapse of cities like San Francisco and now LA. San Francisco is a war zone. I mean, you don't walk
All
out
right.
there at night.
Last exercise is
in disarray.
just regular standing cable flies.
You don't have good management.
What do you
Yeah,
think of
just
minimum
for,
wage?
I don't believe in minimum wage.
whatever, I guess lower chest.
I don't, people don't work if they can't
PM
do
workout
it.
tonight is gonna be,
Jobs are get paid more.
I'm gonna walk for 45 minutes just to get an outdoor workout in.
The minimum wage
And then I'm gonna do a shoulder workout tonight. Probably be pretty brief and infrequent, probably like maybe 30 minutes or something.
How do you feel like
Uh,
AI is going to be affecting that? Because we noticed, even in New York, we went to a sushi restaurant.
I've heard people doing their shoulder workouts first
Expressing what you want.
and then doing their chest all in the same window.
Really efficient.
It's just like I feel like you would
Go to the kiosk, you
not be able to get as many specific, like you wouldn't be able to get as specifically targeted on chest as what I would like to be whenever I'm working out. They say if you exhaust the shoulders first, then the pecs have come into play in a big way. Whatever, I think it's too much, but I've never tried it. I don't want to try it, doesn't sound right to me. I'm gonna move over here and do these cable flies. I'm just gonna do one set to failure. Obviously we're already warmed up. Yeah, obviously we're already warmed up, so we'll just go right into it.
Where do you see it going in 20 years from now?
It'll just be, an added feature. Maybe we have fully automated driving, maybe we don't. Maybe it's some kind of a derivative. I see a lot of good use of it, we're using it ourselves in our businesses, but I just think it is a tool, and by then, it's normal.
I kind of think that it's going to eliminate a whole bunch of jobs. Like I was thinking the other day, how cool would it be if you're building a house to type into an AI program, build me a house or construct a house that conforms to code. It already knows what the city regulations are, and it builds you the blueprints of a house that you could look through online, and it just does it with AI. And you could alter it a little bit. It knows it can source all the materials and price them for you, and all you have to do is give that to a person, and they just build it. So I think it could be
I'm doing that already.
Went too fast into that set. Still felt contraction, all that stuff too. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. We got into the diet, nutrition aspect, finding your maintenance calories. A lot of these ideas have been kind of floating around in my head, and this is getting on camera. It's some of the first times I've been able to kind of verbalize them and really hear them out and just articulate them in a good way. So you guys find myself repeating myself from one video to the next because I'm just, getting it out and fixing my articulation and verbalizing these concepts as I go along. I got to give major credit to Mike Menser for all of his stuff. Like, he's got a chapter in his book. I think it's Heavy Duty 1, but basically the first chapter is like bodybuilders are confused. And I was for a long time, and thanks to this guy, set my mind straight on a lot of different concepts that were, that I've been chewing on that didn't think sounded right, but everybody else is doing them, so I guess I'll do them too. But it really ain't until you just say, pump the brakes, hold on a minute. Like, let me work through these concepts. Let me get down to the bottom of them for me. And really just figuring out, because once you get clarity and results from settling on the right conclusion and getting the right stuff in your mind and working from that, then it's like whenever everybody else's theories come up, it's just like, no, that doesn't make sense, dude. Like, you actually know what falls into bro science or actual, hey, this works and it's applicable. But anyways, man, this was the chest workout. Please follow along for more. If you guys like this stuff, subscribe. If you don't, no big deal, dude. This might not be for everybody, but I really appreciate you guys and the ones that are watching and give me support. Yeah, dude, let's do it together, bro. So, yeah, peace.